Greetings. I come to bring you an update on the question of being able to gather in person for worship. First off, a number of folks have asked about the effect that the new guidelines permitting 50% capacity in indoor gatherings might have on our ability to be together. I would remind you that the 6-foot distance rule is the one that results in our sanctuary capacity being 25 people, give or take. A change in the 6-foot distance guideline is what is going to alter our indoor capacity. With regard to worshiping together, the majority of resources strongly recommend returning to outdoor worship prior to indoor worship, in great part because it's a far safer venue. Additionally, gathering outside enables all who wish to come to do so, while, as I've mentioned, gathering inside still places limits on our capacity. Our task as a church that follows Jesus Christ is to care for those who are safe and well as those who are vulnerable or weak. As people of faith, we know that God's wisdom and guidance manifest themselves in various means. And at a time such as this, it's best for us to look to the experts in the scientific field, namely the CDC and New Jersey state regulations. Furthermore, there is an ecumenical consultation for protocols for worship and church gatherings. This is an interdisciplinary group of theologians, scientists, physicians, pastors, bishops, and so forth. And across this past year, we leaders in the church have been keeping up to date with the collective wisdom and input from all of these resources. The ecumenical consultation takes experience with church life and tradition and applies scientific wisdom and sound public health guidance to the decision-making that's needed in this time of pandemic. They integrate CDC guidelines into the recommendations that they offer. Currently, the consultation proposes the use of 3 county-wide metrics for determining safe in-person gatherings. The metrics are the percentage of ICU beds used in a given county, secondly, the positivity rates, and thirdly, the number of new cases daily per 100,000 residents. They offer specific benchmarks for these 3 metrics for considering outdoor gatherings and specific benchmarks for indoor gatherings. Following these guidelines provides us with a concrete and educated basis on which to rely. Here's the criteria that they offer for relatively safe outdoor worship in person. First, that the ICU beds are filled to less than 80% of capacity in the county. Second, that fewer than 10% of the people in the county who test positive. And third, the rate of new cases per day in the county is less than 20 per 100,000 residents. They offer slightly more stringent benchmarks for indoor gatherings. And in each case, all 3 conditions need to be met in order to gather in relative safety. Now, as of yesterday, Monmouth County meets 2 of the 3 metrics. First, our ICU capacity that's used is 43%, which is well below the desired 80%. Secondly, the positivity rate is 9.9%, which is just below the needed 10%. But thirdly, the number of new cases per 100,000 residents yesterday was 60, which is well above the needed 20. While due to this last statistic, we are still considered a very high risk area, we are clearly getting closer to being able to gather together outdoors. Now, as you are aware, the Administrative Council is the body of leaders in our church that is vested with the responsibility for decisions about in-person gatherings in this season of pandemic. Last night, the Administrative Council met again, as it has across this past year, to once again, with eagerness and hope, take a look at the question of reopening to in-person worship. The Council determined that as soon as we have reached the 3 established safe benchmarks for outdoor gatherings, we will begin worshiping together outside. We'll worship in the lawn beside the parking lot. We are now putting in place the details that will be needed so that we can be ready to gather as soon as those numbers permit. And then, when the county statistics meet the standards for safe indoor gatherings, we'll once again be able to meet in our beloved sanctuary. Naturally, masking, 6-foot distancing, wellness checks, and waivers all remain the minimum standards for our gatherings. Given how large our lawn is beside the parking lot, we don't anticipate that there'll be any limitation on how many of us can gather outside and do so safely. Meeting outdoors is a great opportunity for us. So for now, we are actively watching these 3 statistics, and as soon as the identified safe levels are met, you will receive word to join us in worship outside. May peace be with you this day.